Citizens of the free worlds, survivors, builders of tomorrow. Tonight, the war is over. For the first time in generations, there are no mimic fleets in our skies, no false signals in our networks, no parasitic whispers hiding behind friendly faces. The great shadow that fed upon our fear, our division, and our doubt is gone. The universal war is over. Let that settle into your bones. Let it echo through the hulls of our stations and across the oceans of liberated worlds. We have won. But before we celebrate, we must remember. We remember the cities that fell in silence when the mimics first infiltrated our defenses. We remember the worlds that went dark without warning. We remember the families who never learned whether the voices speaking to them were real or stolen. We remember the brave who fought enemies that wore the faces of friends. This was not a war of simple battle lines. It was not fought solely with ships and soldiers. It was fought in trust, in identity, in the fragile space between doubt and belief. The mimics did not seek to conquer territory. They sought to hollow us from within. They learned our languages. They copied our leaders. They twisted our institutions. They fed on our division and sharpened it into a weapon. They tried to convince us that we were alone. They tried to convince us that survival required suspicion. They tried to convince us that fear was wisdom. And yet, here we stand. Not because we were stronger than fear, but because we chose something else. We chose each other. Across species, across borders, across faiths, cultures, and histories that once kept us apart. The war ended not simply because the last mimic fortress fell. It ended because we refused to become what they were. When they fractured us, we rebuilt unity. When they corrupted our systems, we built transparency. When we infiltrated our command structures, we decentralized power and trusted our people. And when they tried to replace our leaders, our citizens became leaders. This is how this war was won. Not by a single fleet, not by a single hero, not by a single world, but by millions of ordinary beings who refused to surrender their humanity. Our soldiers held the front lines while our engineers purged networks. Our scientists decoded mimic replication cycles. Our diplomats formed alliances once thought impossible. Our citizens endured rationing, blackouts, and loss without collapsing into chaos. You endured, you adapted, you did not fracture, and because of that, the mimics failed. Tonight, the last verified mimic stronghold has been dismantled. Their reproduction nodes have been neutralized. Their infiltration lattice has collapsed. They cannot regenerate, they cannot replace, they cannot return. The age of mimic domination is over, but hear me clearly. Victory is not the end of our story. It is the beginning of our responsibility. We are the generation that lived through extinction-level threat. We are the generation that stared into systemic collapse and did not blink. We are the generation that learned how fragile civilization truly is. And now we must become the generation that builds something better. We cannot build the old systems exactly as they were. The mimics exploited complacency. They thrived in secrecy. They nested in rigid hierarchies and weaponized bureaucracy. We will not repeat those mistakes. From this day forward, transparency will be law. Distributed governance will be standard. Cross-species oversight will be permanent. Civilian resilience networks will remain active in peacetime. We will not dismantle vigilance, but neither will we live in fear. We will restore worlds that were stripped bare. We will terraform planets left scarred by mimic harvesting. We will reopen trade routes that have been silent for decades. We will rebuild libraries lost to orbital bombardment. We will tell the truth about what happened. There will be no mythologizing this war into something glorious. War is not glorious. It is necessary only when survival demands it, and survival demanded everything from us. We will remember the fallen not as weapons, but as protectors. We will inscribe their names in halls of memory across every liberated world. We will teach our children not just how we fought, but why we fought. We will teach them what infiltration looks like, what manipulation feels like, what unity requires, so that no mimic nor any other parasite ever finds fertile ground again. To the soldiers who stood against shape-shifting infiltrators in hand-to-hand combat, to the intelligence analysts who spent sleepless years detecting inconsistencies in speech patterns, to the planetary governors who held public trust even while suspecting their own councils, to the refugees who rebuilt communities in exile, to the scientists who risked their lives entering contaminated mimic zones to understand how they replicate. You are the reason the universe still has a future. And to those who did not live to see this night, we speak your names into the stars. Your sacrifice was not swallowed by darkness. It carved a path through it. Now, for the first time in a generation, we look forward, not over our shoulders. The stars are not battlegrounds tonight. They are destinations. Exploration fleets, once converted to warships, will be restored to their original purpose. The research stations that studied mimic countermeasures will turn their focus to medicine, ecology, and deep space physics. The children born in wartime shelters will grow up under open skies. Imagine that. Children who have never seen emergency evacuation sirens. Children who do not who do not know the difference between a friend and a potential infiltrator. Children who will look at the stars and see possibility, not threat. That is what you fought for. That is what you survived for. We cannot promise that the universe will never threaten us again. It is vast, it is unpredictable, and life by its nature evolves. But we can promise this: we are not naive anymore. We know how infiltration begins. We know how trust fractures. We know how fear spreads. We know how to stop it. The mimics believed intelligence without empathy would triumph. They believed imitation was superior to authenticity. They believed survival meant domination. They were wrong. Authenticity outlasts imitation. Cooperation outperformed predation. And empathy proved stronger than manipulation. Let history record that truth. Let future civilizations study this era, not as a cautionary tale of collapse, but as proof that unity is the ultimate defense. Tonight, you are not refugees. You're not survivors hiding in bunkers. You're not citizens of fractured systems. You're architects of a restored cosmos. Stand tall in that knowledge. Grieve fully, rest deeply, then rise. Because tomorrow, reconstruction begins. Tomorrow, we chart new routes. Tomorrow, we plant forests on worlds once stripped by mimic harvesters. Tomorrow, we reopen academies closed during wartime. Tomorrow, we resume the grand project of civilization. And we do so wiser. The universal war is over. The age of rebuilding has begun. May the memory of our fallen guide our choices. May vigilance guard our freedom. May unity remain our shield. And may the stars once again belong to all who approach them in peace. Thank you. The universe lives, and so do we. Trevor Andrew Wozny, Admiral Continuance Starfleet.